Yep, it's been one of those days. You know, the kind that come and go. They don't so much like to go as they do come. Misty, you like that other shirt? Look at this one. I thought that was pretty cool. Uh, Today was, I just got out of the tub. Denise helped me take a bath because they're not that stable. Monday we went, I should start where the beginning is. Monday we went to Lowe's. And we got over there. I left knowing that I was only 3/4 of the way full of oxygen tank. So I strapped it on my back and went because it should have been plenty enough oxygen. It's the first time I've actually walked in anymore since even before I went to the hospital, since I've had this thing that seems to dominate where I'm going and what I'm doing. So we go in, and I make it. I had to take my time, but I made it. Little by little, I made it. Well, we go back there to the lights because we needed a light to replace the one that shorted out after what, about 20 years? It's funny, I got light fixtures down there that me and Dad pulled out of the trash, and they're look like turn of the century when they brought in electricity. And they still, we had to rewire them, but they still work. These, not so much. So anyway, we waited and waited, looked, hunted and looked. And so finally the guy goes by, and I told Denise that. She said, let's go. I said, no, let's go by. Just ask somebody, because I can't run them down. So she did. Guy says, get somebody right here, and he gets on his phone, and he leaves. Nobody showed up. So we was fixing to leave again. And I said, I'll piss on this. You know, I'll ask somebody. So I asked this dude. And he said, oh, well, I said, well, we've been waiting on somebody for a good 15, 20 minutes now. And I only got so much air in these tanks. So he says, well, I'll go over and look. And he gets on his computer and he types it in. And sure enough, there's a light, exactly like I seen at home. And it says available. I said, see, it says you have them. He said, no, it says available. Just because it says available don't mean it's actually in the store. And I said, well, what the hell kind of inventory is that? He said, I don't know, it's the way Lowe's does it. I said, well, it's screwed up. It's also misleading. We've driven all the way over here. And that wasn't no easy task to find out you don't have what we come after. He said, well, I'm sorry. He said, you want me to order one right here? And I said, no, I'll just go home and order it. So I came home, went up there, ordered it, ordered one light and 2 packs of bulbs because they take a funky little bulb. Well, they come in today, finally. Only it was 2 lights. And yes, they charged us for both of them. And no bulbs. So I called over at Lowe's and I said, I got 2 lights, 2 fixtures, and no bulbs. And I'm looking on my order. And I see that I have bulbs on order. I had 2 packets. She said, did you order them at the store or did you order them on the internet? I said, I ordered them off the internet. Oh, well, let me put you through to the people at the internet. Well, nobody, come on. We sat there back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Finally, the lady came on there and she said, yeah, they said that they're here in the store. They just forgot to ship them. And I said, they forgot to ship them? Yeah. I said, well, why would they do that? They only had really 2 things to put on the order. But 3's fine. I'll even keep the extra light and pay for it. But why did how could you forget 3 things? They used to work in shipping. and before UPS even. How the hell do you forget 3 things? She said, well, probably the light bulbs wasn't near the light fixtures. And I said, well, heaven forbid they have to take, 4 or 5 extra steps, and to have a little bit more going on here. Now, let me tell you about that. She told me, she said, you want commodity? And I said, no. I said, lady, I'm compromised. I have to have oxygen everywhere I go. When I came over on Monday, we were there forever. We were there long enough that my oxygen ran out before I got home, which is my fault. I should have taken a new tank. And again, I didn't realize we was going on a fact-finding hunt for apparently a rare unicorn. I said, it's 20 minutes trip from here to there. And it's 20 minutes back. I'm not wasting my oxygen running over to fix something that these people screwed up. I made a point to say these people. I didn't want to offend her. She was at least helping. And she said, well, what do you want us to do? And I said, ship the damn things. What I want you to do to start with. This 40 milligrams of prednisone a day is not good for my attitude. So, anyway, and apparently my shoulder just went out. It reminded me of something that I don't. This is the 3rd time. Forget Walmart hiring idiots. Apparently Lowe's gets before Walmart does. Not everybody, but they get the majority of them. Back when I used to deliver, back when it was at 530 West Morris Boulevard, I'd pull through the gate and they had a little guard there. He really didn't guard nothing. He motioned, the Manson family couldn't have come through and he would have must have been. He was wanting to be a wrestler and he was all full of testosterone. Probably a hell of a lot more than he should have been. And as I come through there, I hear boom. And I thought, good Lord, did I hit something? Jesse York, one of my supervisors, he drove feeders, which is what UPS calls their semis, their tractor trailers. And he trained feeder drivers. And when he went to training us, he said that when we go through a tight spot or we're near somebody, that we should always double check by looking back in our mirrors. So I did. And I seen this guy. He was hunched over, almost in tears. I went over there and made my delivery, come back out. And I stopped and I said, what are you doing? He said, I already sued UPS. And I said, for what? He said, you advertised that your trucks are fiberglass. I said, no, we didn't. We advertised the roof was fiberglass. This around the outside is solid steel. He said, no, and I think I broke my hand. That was the first idiotic thing that I ever seen. Now, the next time, me and Denise had went in and I needed a plumb bob. We had one here somewhere, but God only knows where it's at. And then when Dad died, somebody broke into and I think I know who it was, broke into the building and stole a lot of good tools. Although this particular individual, I wouldn't think he'd have a bit of use for a plumb bob. So anyway, we looked, couldn't find it. Here came this guy up, said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, we're looking for a plumb bob. He was a young guy. He said, oh, okay, follow me. And we start darting across the store. And I looked and I said, we were leaving the tools. And I said, where are you taking us? He said, oh, to the plumbing section. And I looked at him and kind of grinned. I said, you do realize plumb bobs have nothing to do with plumbing, right? Oh, yeah, I know. It's because of the name we stock them. And I said, you must have a hell of a time looking for tools. What happens if somebody wants a screwdriver? No, I want a saw. I want channel locks. I mean, let's be honest. Well, another guy that had been with Lowe's forever, he was an older guy. He came walking, he said, hey, what are you doing? I said, following him. He said, huh, well, where's he taking you? I said, you ain't gonna believe this. But I asked him where the plumb bobs were. And immediately the guy starts dying laughing. Goes back in that young boy's face and he says, he don't know shit. Follow me. We went. He told that little boy, he said, "You can follow too if you want to. I think you need to." So he goes over there, takes us right to the spot. They only have, plumb bobs are small, so they only had about maybe a foot, if that, of us, the back of a kiosk or side uh, that had maybe 5 or 6 different kinds. That was stupidity number 2. This is stupidity number 3. So, in a way, I want to laugh because I really can't put the light up tonight anyway. Uh, and yep, with lung issues, I'm going to do it. May not be doing it glamorously, but I'm going to do it. Uh, sometimes you just shake your head and go, really? And on YouTube, every other commercial is Ozempic. I've heard Ozempic till I'm sick of it. And they sing it to the, it's magic. Except, it's Ozempic. Get a clue, folks. We're not going to buy your product unless we need it. And if we need it, we'll ask you or we'll ask the doctor, not you. And if it's not that, it's this COVID-19 or whatever they're calling it this week. You see, Tennessee's even got this stupid commercial where they're sitting there with their mask on and I'm saving it. You ain't saving shit. You put a mask over your face. If you're saving something, get in there and help them people. Other than that, get to work and forget it. That mask does not make you Batman. Uh, then on the evening news, my wife was wanting to watch the weather. And on Channel 10, WBIR, they had to have this stupid excerpt of some idiot that wrote a book for kids about this coronavirus, or like I say, whatever they're calling it, whatever the name of the flavor is this week. And this old dude sitting over beside him going, and he's an adult. It's kind of like when you watch them preachers on TV and they're talking about stuff that they have not got a clue about. And there's always a woman, and I don't know why it's a woman, because women are smarter than men. But she's always going, like she's just amazed that this came out of his mouth. And I'm sitting there looking at him when they were reading that book, and I'm thinking, where am I living at? Is this really the United States of America? I mean, I ain't talking about doing an American state. I'm talking about what the hell happened to us when we lost the sense of reason. I think they pushed this COVID or whatever. They've inflated the numbers and they pushed it about as far as you can push it. Because most of us are going to start throwing up on them. And for God's sake, don't terrify a child. When I was a kid in school, we had to line up in the hall for a nuclear attack. Squat down on her, get on her knees, put her head between her legs. And we did that for a drill. You know what kind of issues that causes a child? We did it up until somebody said, "What are we doing? Another drill." "What do you mean?" "Well, let's get down on your knees, put your head between your legs, and kiss your ass goodbye, because it's over with." And really, if they dropped an atomic bomb, it would have been over with. You get your heart right. Yeah, I know I don't have the cleanest language in the world, but you get your heart right, and you ain't going to have to worry about bending over. Been there and done that. But it's funny. I mean, it would be funny if it weren't for just plain stupid. Nobody thinks. Had You'll know who this is, Misty. They were wanting to do something, and their spouse said, well, Daddy, he don't know how to do that. Well, there's a reason he don't know how to do that. Because he wouldn't get off his ass and learn from his grandfather or his father. Well, I say father. You got one father and he's in heaven. But the fact that you don't know how to do that, I didn't know how to build this house. But I knew I couldn't afford to have it built. So me, my dad that I called, he was my grandfather I called Dad, my biological dad, my stepdad, and one of my cousins. They didn't charge me nothing. So at 22 years old, we built a house. I didn't know how to build a house. Now, Daddy did. Bobby Joe did. And Charlie, he was learning. Me and Joe built barns, but we never built a house. First car I ever had that went down on us out in the middle of nowhere. Well, I take it back. I was taking on mechanics, so yeah, I didn't know. Me and Denise, we restored a 78 Camaro. I didn't know how to do upholstery. I didn't know how to paint. I didn't know how to do a lot of things. But with some friends showing me, and thank God I had YouTube, I did it. I didn't say, because there's a funny thing. If you think you can't, you can't. And if you think you can, you might be able to. But you never lose. You never quit. As long as you try, you ain't failing. You may have to stand back and regroup, but you ain't failing. Of what? I mean, I see some really good kids these days. But they're playing with that little cell phone. You're letting someone control your life. Bottom line, you're playing some stupid little game. Those people own you. And it just makes you dumber and dumber. Now, if you're handicapped, I can see doing it. And not mentally handicapped, which apparently a lot of these kids are going to be. But you got to be both ends of the spectrum. I would not want to be born right now. I thank God I'm towards the end. It's just ridiculous. Annie used to, not my daughter, but my great grandmother, she used to always say, towards the end days, the weaker the wiser. Well, guess what? We're there. A lot of people claim to be Christians, but they sure as hell don't act like it. And the one that everybody likes to talk about, like this one cousin and his wife that I got, they are Christians. They act like it. They're just not in your face with it, and they're not jumping up and down with it. But they ended up sending me a nice little note and a check for $500. She oil paints or some kind of paint. Maybe it's water paint or acrylic. And then she sells them, and then she takes that money and she finds somebody that needs the money. And to our surprise, we had a check come in there. But me and my wife were okay. We're preppers. So I really don't feel like I deserve it or need it. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that could use that money more than we could. And I feel like there's a lot of people that could deserve it. So I'm going to first ask them to take it back. And I hope they don't get mad. And if they don't, then I'm going to take it. I've already got a bunch of scarves and do-rags picked out on eBay. But when I first started doing chemo on my lungs, they didn't do this at Knoxville down at UT. But over at Morristown Hamlin, they brought a tote in there. And in that tote was little odds and ends, find a word book, it's different stuff. And the churches would all give it in. Well, there's not been churches thanks to this COVID scare. And So these new people that's coming in for treatments, they don't have nothing like that. So if they do say, that I have to keep it, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy do-rags and boggins for the ones that lose their hair in chemo. Because I know from when I had throat cancer and I lost all my hair, I felt naked. So maybe that's the Cherokee in me, I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them a little care package, but similar to what they give me. Only I'm going to have do-rags and toboggans in it. And then when I talk to Jen and the ones at the hospital, because God knows they know I ain't got COVID. 3 times they went up my nose while I was in the hospital that week. 3. And 2 I was for MRSA. I was clean. Hell, I was clean the first time they did it. But apparently they, was on a commission. But I'm not running down Marshall Hamlin because Barn, there's one nurse that I told him I did not want her back in my room, period. Other than that, everybody I had were absolutely great. And the food, oh my God. If that's all I said, if y'all ever quit here, you can put some of these restaurants out of business. So anyway, I'm going to take that stuff down there to them and give it to Jen and them. I'm going to tell them I don't want my name associated with it. Rather, I want Janet's and BB's because it's come from them. Maybe in a weird way, but it still come from them. I mean, it just, all I am is just bypassing. I'm just passing it along. But I thought it was great. I thought it was very nice. And I'm honored. But I think other people need it more. I think we have a real chance to touch a lot of people. Mister, you know me. I've always been bad for this. I don't want anybody to talk good about me when I die. But I do want my kids to remember what I was really like underneath all this assholeness. It's kind of like when I done that letters to Santa thing at UPS, and UPS threatened to fire me because I wouldn't show up to pass out the gifts. And I didn't even write my name on my gift because I wanted no credit. If you're getting doing it for credit, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So anyway, that's been my day today. Yippee-ki-yay. See ya.